Boxing truth here. Demetrius Andrade, the former belt holder at 154 pounds, finally has a date, and it's on a network where he needs to be at to showcase his talent and his skills. And that's on Showtime, a premium network, a network where there's a lot of fights out there for him potentially. But first things first, he has a date on June 11th, finally, after following another 8 months of inactivity outside the ring. It's been an issue with Andrade ever since he pulled out of the fight with Jermell Charlo, with the brother with the letter E, in late 2014. It caused some inactivity for his career following the issues with his current promoter, Banner and Star Boxing. He tried to break away from them in order to pursue a promotional agreement with Rock Nation Sports. The Rock Nation played him out, and they're still in litigation right now. So Andrade has put his problems behind him for the time being. He still has some issues litigation-wise with Rock Nation for money that they allegedly owe him. But he's putting that behind him, and he's focusing on getting back in the ring, and he's re-signed with the same promoter he tried to break away from in late 2014, Banner and Star Boxing. They've re-signed him, and they got him a great opportunity on Showtime against a very solid opponent in Willie Nelson, who will be the co-feature. It's a co-feature to the Ruslan Pravanikov John Molina fight. It was shaping up to be a very solid card by Showtime on June 11th at the Turning Stone of Verona, New York. The main event will be an action fight, for however long it lasts, between Pravanikov and Molina. The co-feature is a very good fight, solid matchup between Andrade, who's considered probably arguably the best fighter of 54 or one of the top 5, against a top 10 opponent in Willie Nelson, who's coming off a couple of wins and an upset win of an overhyped Al Haymon prospect in Tony Harrison. So this is going to be a good test for Andrade to see where he's at in his professional boxing career at the moment. He hasn't fought a top 10 opponent at 54 in quite a while. Ever since he won his first world title against Matarosi, he only made one defense, and then broke away from an agreement with Jermell Charlo to fight him in late 2014. Then the inactivity began. He didn't fight for over a year. Only got one fight in last year, and now it's 8 months of inactivity heading into this fight. He was supposed to fight Charles Hatley, the Don King fighter, one of the handful of Don King clients. But lately, it's been very hard to get a reach of Don King for negotiations. Could be because he only has a handful of clients, and if he's going to step up some of his fighters, the reward has to be worthwhile. If one of his few clients are going to take an L, so they couldn't come to terms. So in steps Willie Nelson, who is also a part of the WBC Top 15 rankings. It is a great opportunity for Andrade to get back to where he feels he belongs. This fight between Andrade and Willie Nelson is for the number 1 mandatory position of the WBC title, the now vacant belt, which is being reported by the USA Today writer Mike Coppinger that on May 21st, supposedly Jermell Charlo and John Jackson will fight for the vacant title. So, ironically, Demetrius Andrade has an opportunity to become the number 1 contender for the WBC title and perhaps fight Jermell Charlo anyways for a world title. And it is very possible it could be next if he can get past Willie Nelson, who is a good opponent for him. But it's very possible he can get that fight lined up right next if he gets past Willie Nelson, because I believe in the WBC rules, a fighter who wins a vacant belt for the WBC has to make two immediate mandatory defenses. So the winner of Charlo and Jackson will have to fight the winner of Andrade and Willie Nelson next. So that fight could ironically happen anyways for Andrade and Jermell. They'll end up locking horns anyway when they were supposed to fight all the way back in 2014. But for the fight between Andrade and Nelson, it's a good fight. Nelson is an aggressive fighter. He comes to fight. He's a very tall, 6'3". He'll have the height advantage against Andrade, but he doesn't really use his height. He likes to come forward, he likes to come inside and fight, land some big punches. He throws some punches with mean intentions. He's got a solid, he's fought some solid guys. He had a good fight with Vanis Martirosyan. He fought Coelho, went 10 hard rounds with him. Decent fighter. He's also, and he has the knockout win over an overhyped Tony Harrison. And the strange thing is, he didn't really get rewarded after that fight. He instead of staying active and getting a fight right away, because when Tony Harrison got knocked out by Nelson, he's already fought twice ever since, and Nelson since that time has been on the shelf. He's been in the gym training, waiting for a date, waiting for a phone call for a fight. And he waited for 8 months? I mean, his reward for knocking out an Al Haymon prospect with some upside was inactivity. But Willie Nelson's representation is weird. It's a weird combination. I mean, he has Lou DiBella as his promoter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Lou DiBella promotes Willie Nelson. And he's a guy that a lot of people in the industry claim is an Al Haymon puppet. He promotes a lot of Al Haymon clients for most of Haymon's shows on the East Coast. And Willie Nelson's manager is Cameron Duncan. He's a guy that's mostly affiliated with guys that are with Top Rank. He's managed a lot of guys that have promotional contracts with Top Rank. So it's a weird combination. Just makes you wonder, how's that working out? Is that why is that the reason for the inactivity for knocking out an Al Haymon prospect? But he's got a good opportunity to fight a fighter many believe to be the best at 54 in Demetrius Andrade, probably one of the best amateurs from America in the past. Maybe this past decade, maybe. He was the most highly regarded in his days as an amateur. Was considered number one 52-pounder in the United States, and also arguably the world. Won the world championships. Very skilled fighter. And this is a great opportunity for Andrade to get back on premium network television in a good fight against a quality opponent, Willie Nelson, which should be a good fight. We'll get some answers of where Andrade is at in his career, and he'll be, with a win, he'll be put back into position for a world title against a foe he was supposed to fight back in potentially. He was supposed to fight back in 2014, and this is a good thing for Andrade that he's on Showtime. He's with the right network, because most of the guys affiliated on this network have belts or they're contenders. There's a lot of fighters that are not fighting each other at 54. Mostly are with Al Haymon. He's got Arizona Lara, holds the WBA strap. He's got Jermall Charlo with the letter A. He's got the IBF. He's about to have another Al Haymon client of his with the WBC, which could be Jermall with the letter A. And he's pretty much has the 154 division on lock. The other guy is Liam Smith, a UK fighter who has the WBO. So Al Haymon is in control of the 154-pound division, And Andrade and Star Boxing Banner Promotions are working with the right network to perhaps get those fights. Because right now the plan for Andrade is to get a good win against a top 10 opponent, quality opponent, 154 pounds, challenge for a world title, win that strap. Then you look for some unification bouts against other Al Haymon clients. A Neverslandy Lara fight would be interesting. Jamal Charlo fight would be an interesting fight. A Julian Williams fight, I wouldn't mind. I would like to see that fight. I'd like to see what's Julian Williams made of if he ever gets a chance to fight Demetrius Andrade. Julian, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to get the fights with guys that are in the same stable as he is with Haymon. So maybe Andrade, if he can't find unification bouts, if he gets, past Nelson, and if he gets his hands on that WC title, maybe he'll challenge Julian. And just a few good quality wins from Demetrius Andrade at 154 pounds, unifying the titles, beating some name fighters at 154, and the fans will start beating the drums for a potential Triple G fight. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.